Here are some examples from students past just to show the variety that you can get to there, right? So again, you can see like this image here where you can see where there's certain things that are left very, very rigid and very simplistic, and then other geometry is combined in there. You can see how it can be modified and moved and altered. And this even has little feet to it, whereas this one is just a little bit more of a traditional, or not a, couch where you've got, your basic basin that you sit in, and then the cushions are applied. And even here, the student put some buttons in there. But understanding this, of course, because it's just this one is in 3 mode, right? If I switch to 1 mode, you can see just what it looks like in terms of its low polygon modeling. See that? Very simplistic, very low polygon. But in order to get that round softness, what do we need to do? That's detail, that's roundness. You need to add more edges. So when you hit 3, you can see how it fits together, nice and soft, and so on. So that if, let me see here if this will work. I actually switch to a face, double click, the individual cushion. See that? That has literally been assembled and placed into there as a combine, and it fits exactly into that space. So it's getting to be very, very detailed sort of modeling in that case. As opposed to, say, this one that you see in. Now, these, of course, have been smoothed. Smoothed and put into place, and then stack has been collapsed, so it can just be slid into place there. But if I were to click object mode, hit the 3 on the keyboard, it sort of falls all apart because this piece here was not properly edged. Makes sense? Because when you go into 3, everything looks fine, except for this piece at the base, right? Wasn't properly assembled. The piece in the back was not properly done, so hold on to those edges. See that? So great way to kind of think about how would you actually resolve that problem. It would be an edge, double click to get that edge loop going all the way down there. Or even again, this one here. And that edge would be what? Simply doubled or beveled to get 2. So instead of just having 1 edge, you see how we get 2 there. And now when I hit 3 on the keyboard, you see it actually holds that sharp corner. Similarly, this guy here, if I were to I'm just going to do this one piece here. Right? Similar kind of way. It's simply beveling that edge, making it nice and tight to double up the edges. And now when you hit 3, you see it actually holds that corner. Now, it didn't do the bottom there because, well, I didn't do the bottom. But that could also be done here. Let me just show you quickly by simply doing faces and then just doing an extrude. But rather than extruding it out, we're just going to switch to the R so that we can double up those. See how I've doubled up those edges? And now you see how it can hold on. Well, I didn't get that edge on the corner there, just the bottom. Breaking that corner. So this kind of goes to the whole idea of, let's come here and move all this. All right, so it kind of comes down to, are we going to start with a cube, right? A simple cube that we can, if you think about the base of a couch, right? We just can start with a simple, it doesn't have to be a cube here, but that's, if you're just kind of eyeballing up what the cube would be, right? The base of the couch itself. Then you need to think about, all right, I need to hold all these corners as sharp. Well, without doing much here, the easiest way would be, of course, to just switch to an edge. Mouse. Switch to the edges. I haven't done any segmentation here. And once again, just doing a tiny little bevel of those edges, and every corner gets doubled up. Especially if you want sharp corners, you see where you get these little triangle pieces in there. And now if I hit 3, you see if and when it's smooth, it's holding onto that shape. Now that doesn't mean that we can't go ahead and add more edges to this, right? So I come here and let's see, I'm trying to find out which was the shortcut without using the cut tool, but insert an edge loop. See that? So if I insert an edge loop there, insert an edge loop there, insert an edge loop here, and one on the other corner. When I hit 3, again, it's going to hold that round shape very well, or that square shape very well, but you see it's still actually smoothing. See that? So edges, more edges, the closer the edges or the points or the vertices are together, the sharper the corners we get, even when it's smooth. So then what you can do here, just to think about that, is we go back to one mode. Is all right, so I know I'm holding onto my corners there. Well, what if I want to start to add even more geometry here? So again, I could come here and again do a insert edge loop tool right there. Now this might be a good point to actually switch to a top down so we can get equally across. Like so. One here and one there. And another one here and another one there. So I'm only adding where I need it. Now, why do I go about and I do it that way? Well, go ahead and put wireframe on shape. Because now I can come here, whoops, now, choose by face, face, come on, there we go. There we go. Face, 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 face. Come here and select these interfaces.
Oh. Okay.
And then so you can see what I'm grabbing. See? Yeah, I'm grabbing those right there. I can even grab this one here. Okay, this is just making a simple couch, nothing fancy about it. And I'll grab this back piece here as well. This would actually be the back of the couch, and these would be the arms of the couch. I've got it to that point there. Now I can think about those basic things like extrusions. Extrude. Right? Get that section there. I'm actually going to do one more little extrude up, just so I double up. Like that, just a little one, remember? That gives me 2 edges, which will hold a sharp corner. And I can grab the back. Maybe do another extrude up. So this is just, I'm just kind of guessing here to get that shape of a couch. See that? The little bench part of the couch. What it's starting to look like, and you can see, okay, well, the outside all looks fine, right? But the inside here, it needs, a good way to describe it is almost like a spider web effect, okay? That when you smooth it, it is going to subdivide in between 2 points. That's why we add an extra edge. So the fact it didn't hold this corner is because we need to double up that edge. Does it make sense? It's almost like we need an edge here to yank and pull that towards the corner. So a great way to kind of fix that One is, look here. Why is that edge there not holding as a sharp corner? Because the edge is only one. See that? One edge there. So if I were to take the two of them, that's right. And again, you could actually draw and cut and slice, or you could do an edge loop, but it's a lot easier just to grab this two right here. See that right there? And watch now. Let's just do a little bevel, see, to get two there. Now, if I zoom out and hit 3 on the keyboard, it actually holds that corner much better. See that? Well, before I did those bevels on the corners, where else don't I have two? I don't have two here, right? In the back there. Here. Two there. So watch if I just do that and do a small bevel and hit 3. Now you see how it's starting to hold that shape. See? And you can keep going around and just doubling up on your loops there to get that to work. Did that. And edge is selected because now look, where else do I need to have two? Right here in the back, right?
Yeah.
And that means on the other side as well. So as you go around and you work in a level 1 on the keyboard and then switch and toggle to a 3 to see that smoothing. See, now if I do that and do the bevel, I've doubled up that, hit 3 on the keyboard, and you see again, it is holding. See? As a smooth. We want to kind of work in this method. You can even see where there's an obvious kind of weird error here. See this, how this line doesn't go straight up? Why doesn't it go straight up there? Well, this guy, see this little corner here? There's nothing holding it together. Does that make sense? This guy is floating around by itself, but there's no, think of like a spider web. There's no anchor to kind of yank on that and hold it in place. So when we smooth, it gets pushed out. Do you see that? So this is when we're modeling in a high poly model smoothing kind of function here. You can think about that as, well, let's do this. I've got this going straight down. Why not come here? Mesh tools, insert edge loop. I can put one right down the center. And then watch what I can do to anchor that in. Okay, mesh tools, multi-cut, click, and like a spider web, anchor right there and enter. Let's do the other side. Watch this. Enter right there. By putting those little anchor lines, hitting 3 on the keyboard now, you see how it's holding it. You see that? It's helping to hold that corner in space because that vertice, which before did not have anything connecting it to any other geometry, didn't know how far or whatever to go. Now it's got an anchor holding it, and you see in the smooth how this tangent is looking much straighter than before. It was much more wanky. So that's kind of the secret of creating higher polygon geometry, is that if you're going to be smoothing it, it's going to want to simplify. You can see, I can see a little problem. See this little problem right here. You see how that doesn't go straight across? And this here doesn't go straight across. So this is one of those things that, you know, if I go into one mode, you may not notice. See this? And if I go into one, you can see why. It's this guy that doesn't really have a home. So this is one of those, you know, give, take, experiment kind of things where.
On the other side, it has a line, but that one doesn't.
Oh, yeah, I do see that. See? Yeah, I do see that. All right. Yeah. See how it has this weird that doesn't have it on this side. So somehow when we were beveling and everything, this got an extra edge. So this is a good chance here now to talk about how do we remove edges we don't want. Well, I can select an edge, and if I hit delete, you see it removes that edge. But be careful, because in the vertex mode, you see it's still left a vertex. You see that in the middle? And then there's that one over there. So there's actually a shortcut for removing that edge. I want to remove this edge, but I also want to remove the vertices associated. It looks like it's this edge too. See? Right there. See? Those edges. Right click, delete. There we go. And you see now it has removed the vertice as well as the edge. Come on. See? Doesn't have that vertex between. Doesn't have that vertex between. Hit 3, and look at how nice and clean that looks there. At least this side looks a lot cleaner, right? Now what's going on right here? Why is this all wanky-doo? Well, that could be a series of more than one point that's left here. Let's see what the problem is. So I could always just grab a lasso around there and merge it. Merge. Need to repeat. Okay, you see it's still giving me some issue there. Or we simply select it, delete it, and rebuild it. Here, here. Still give me, oh, come on now. So this is where you can almost see where this side of the couch is coming along much better than the other. Right? Better over here than the other side. Is that a problem? If one couch, the couch looks better than the other. How do you think we could fix that? What's this? Face. Select the half we don't want. Delete. Right? And go back and do the mirror to get it all back together again. One of those things that very, very often students forget the idea of, hey, you only need half of it. So modeling it in a whole like that, I could literally be designing 2 different couches at the same time by simply just separating the halves and then doing a merge. Do you ever do that with like drawing, especially in the computer or something like that, where you can draw a whole face and then you take half the face, copy it, paste it, and then flip it. And then you take the other half, copy and flip it, and you end up with 2 different characters because the left side and the right side are slightly different. Okay, it's kind of like what we're dealing with here. So this side was looking much cleaner. So I just removed that side and then mirrored it over to get the part I want. Or I could literally work with just a half of a couch at a time. Since I'm going to make a, whatever, 2 cushion couch. So I don't even have to mirror it yet. I could just be working like this. Okay. And now that we're actually working in the 3 mode, now we can start to say to ourselves, oh, well, what if I wanted some soft cushiness here? See? Like maybe I want the arm to have a little bit more cush, and I can use everything from just moving it up to the R for scale to scale it up. See? And now we're getting that cushiness feel to it all. I could do that with this back here. See? That a little more cushion. Probably instead of doing that, would probably just grab the edge. Like so. See? And be able to do that. And watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to double click on the center axis here, and I'm going to go ahead and bevel it again. Which did not. Well, sometimes if the edge bevel doesn't work, See, it's not really working there. This might be a better chance of just using that insert edge loop. See, and just putting another edge really close to it. And you can see where it starts to fail. See where it failed it there? It failed to cut through there. Well, that's a good way to now think about our multi-cut. Enter, but then we need to merge and our vertices together, like those two there. Merge, and these guys here. Merge, see, to just seal that up. I just simply did that really quickly there was because, A, this face, keyboard, see, I wanted to kind of add a little bit of bend to the back of my couch there, or I could grab these guys here, bend to the couch there, see, be a little more cushy, or even here, right? And shape that. Okay. Now again, remember, in the one key, it's going to look really weird now. See that? It's going to start to look really bizarre because we're making a very simple low poly Minecraft couch. But it's the 3 key that we're after, right? That's the one that we're going to want to pay attention to. Just pull this out a little bit to add a little bit more. Don't forget too, if I go and select my edges, I can still move my edges independent here to get a little bit more roundness to the front. See that? So you see it starts almost like you're modeling out, I don't know, like a car or something like that. See? Because you're following tangents. See that? So we can always just mirror it over once we get it. Now, before we do the cushions, right, which are a little bit more complex, let's talk about making little feet down here. Now, a four-sided, remember, a four-sided object. Now, we're going to make a point here, now that my mouse works, is that if this is smooth, of course, we lose the shape. It gets round, but a squared object can become a round object when it's smooth because we haven't doubled up the edges. But if I want to retain this as being very nice and round here, see, simply selecting, for example, the 2 legs and just doing either an extrude or something or an edge loop, right? I could do that, or I could do, you know, double up, shift, double up. And double up these edges, and then do a bevel so that those edges are close together. Now, when I hit 3, you see it actually holds the foot, right? It actually looks like, you know, because it's not just smoothing it all out completely. So, oh, it's nice to have a mouse that works. Pulling out the legs from the bottom of this couch here, we know we can make something round by starting square. So this is where it's kind of a neat little thing, like without necessarily coming in here and saying, oh, I'm going to put them there on, you know, like using a face and putting it there. Now, I probably want to put a foot here, foot in the corner, right? But I'm going to show you actually a nice little shortcut. And again, I'm looking at it from underneath. Hide my grid. Okay. And we know also because we've already seen things like anchors. So what I'm going to do here is for the insert edge loop. If I do that, it's going to put a loop across the whole thing. I don't want to do that. I just want to put a slice. Let's just go with a slice here to here to here. Okay. A little bit closer in. Enter. And I'm going to put a slice here to here. And then I'm going to put a slice here to there. Enter. And a slice here to there. Now, in some modeling cases, especially if we're doing super low poly, remember, I'm modeling so I can smooth this. If I was just doing low poly modeling, I wouldn't have to put these cuts and divisions all in the middle here. But I'm doing this in low and with smoothing I want to do the smoothing. So watch for me to make little legs here now. Watch this. If I want round legs, I can now just select these 4 little square polys at the bottom there, right? Just like that, and extrude from there. Because I want it to be round feet on my couch. If I hit 3 on the keyboard, you can see kind of what it's doing. Now, I want this to be these feet to be round on the bottom. See how they're round on the bottom? If I want them to actually hold their shape, I can right-click and do a bevel. And now you see they will hold their shape. See that? For being round feet. If I wanted them to be square feet, square legs, right, on the bottom of my couch, I would need to double up the corners of those, of what I just extruded. And now that I'm in smooth mode, I can roll around underneath there and I can see where there is in fact errors. An error here. Look at this, the way it's kind of sticking out like that. You see that? So this is a great example of kind of working in smooth mode and then seeing where the problem is. Because you can see here, see how this has got this weird shape to it? It's not straight up and down like I want it. Well, how do I get that to be straight up and down? Well, look at the smooth geometry. And just like we saw with the back of the couch at that point, you're going to see an obvious error. Do you see this obvious error of why it's shaped so funny? What is missing here? Around. Do you see how there's nothing anchoring it there? There's no corner, okay? And that's why it's failing. That's why it's not looking right. So if I hit 1 on the keyboard, once again, you can see where I need an anchor. And look where I need an anchor. Mesh tools, multi-cut, anchor from here to here. Enter. Now when I hit 3 on the keyboard, watch this. You see how it holds. Right? Holds its shape. So sometimes, again, geometry gets hidden on you. You can't find it. Like, wait a minute, there's stuff in there. One of the easiest ways, and I'll show you this, like I said, one of the easiest ways to fix it, if you have a problem and you're like, I don't know what's going on, you just grab a face here, and you're like, you know, what's wrong with this face? I don't know what's wrong with this face. Get rid of the face. And then go back to the edge, shift, select the 2 edges, and just rebuild the bridge. See, just re-bridge it, seal it in, hit the smooth to see how it looks, and you'll find that you probably have corrected your problem.
And to fix the curving, I have to add more edges? Or like, yeah, more edges?
If you want to hold a sharper corner, yes, you add edges. Occasionally, like I said, don't be afraid to just throw on a mirror. See what it will look like when it's combined. See that? Now, one thing I didn't do from the very start, because I kind of jumped in here talking about smoothing and so on and looking at other people's cuts. Is anybody here went File, Project Window, New, Folder, right? And tell it where it's supposed to go? I didn't. Right? Comfy couch, select new folder. I'll just call this couch.
Wait, file new? Right,
That's File, Project Window, New. And then you can come in and save it, and it knows to save it to the scenes folder for that project folder.
if we are already working on it, we can just still.
Yeah, you can still make a new project, but then you Control S to save as, and it'll save to the scene file in that project. If you get to a point, guys, like I say, swapping one to three, you see how things start to get really weird looking. Well, remember, it still needs to kind of hold up and survive in a low polygon one mode, right? So maybe it means going into one and just kind of calming down the shape a little bit more. See that? Moving some of these vertices so that it looks level one. So when you hit three, it looks better in three. Working in three can really, really look good, but you're also really going to destroy the low poly version. All right. So as I said before, we've gotten to a point where we've actually got, again, at least half the couch done, right? I'm not going to worry about, the cushions. I'm not going to worry about mirroring. I'm going to worry about the cushion now. And then I'll show you how we can play around a lot with things like mirroring. So even though this might be a 2-cushion couch, right? I can actually deal with it, slice it, and turn it into a 3-cushion couch. I can turn it into a corner couch. I can turn it into a love seat, just by having this much done and then using some of these mirror tools with like cut geometry and so on with it. So to create the cushions, as I stated before, one of the easiest ways to do that is to use the geometry hat. So I'm back into one mode, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the inner portion of this cushion here, okay? And if I want to grab this little lip here. Now, I am not going to grab the sharp edge because I want some distance between it and the back, okay? And I'm not going to grab the little seam down the edge here in the middle. Is I'm going to take that and I'm going to separate. See here, where's that? There's the separate, but I want to do, see here, there's a faces, duplicate this face and move it up high, up and out of the space. See that? I just moved it up out of the space. And then I'm going to separate from this a little different. Select it and separate it. Should be just separated. Let me see here. There, from the main chair. See, so I've got it there and I've got this piece here. The problem is, and I've shown you this before, that if I turn on my display normals or polys, is my face normals are facing upward. You see the little green hairs. See that? But this piece that I just duplicated and separated is going to be the bottom of the cushion. So what I need to do is flip the normal. So now instead of being positive facing up, I went positive facing down. So I can select it, go to display and reverse. So like I said, now the normals are facing down. I don't need to leave those display normals on. I can turn them off. Now I have this little piece of cushion. Now I don't need all this here. For example, I'm looking here at this edge. Okay, I can hit Control and Delete. I don't need that edge, because I'm going to add and slice in my own edges here. Right? To do that, like we've done before, I can come over here and do Insert Edge Loop. And Insert Edge Loop, so that, just like we started with the initial bottom of the couch, right? We're building a cushion here. So it has to be square-like or rectangular-like, but still sharp in the corners. And so I have just done it like so, where you can see I've just doubled up my corners. Okay. And this is kind of neat. Watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to select, whoops, to get off that tool. I'm going to select this one little vertex on each corner, and I'm going to do what's called a chamfer vertex. Chamfer vertexing. And you see, what does that do? That takes one, kind of like the bevel, and chamfers it into two. Now, why am I doing that? Because that's now going to give me a sharp corner. Make sense? Because I took one vertex, and by converting it to two, that will hold that corner. And I'm going to go around to all remaining three corners. This one here, I can just hit G on the keyboard to chamfer it. Go to this corner here, hit G on the keyboard to chamfer it. Hit this one here, hit G in the corner to chamfer it. Pretty simple, cut, dry. Done now. So because I flipped my face normals, I've reversed the face normals. This is now going to be the bottom of the cushion, rather than what was the top of the bottom, top of the base of the couch, I guess you call that. So that now all I need to do, watch how cool this is double click, and I select that entire what's called the edge loop all the way around. And with a little shift, you get an angle here so I can see my thickness. I'm going to hold shift, and you can see I can extrude that edge loop by simply holding shift and dragging upward. Like so. Okay. If you hit on the keyboard, you can start to see how this is going to look like the bottom of the cushion that fits exactly into the top of the couch. See that? Back to one. Now, there's a couple of ways I can seal this up. I could hit R, shift extrude, and start to pull it inward like this. But you see, I start to get some very bizarre corners. So I don't want to just do a simple shift extrude. Instead, I'm going to rebuild this a more proper way. Okay, by going edge, shift across, and using this bridge. See, that's the easiest way to just fill in. But now I've done that main one there. I'm going to grab the little bridge to bridge over here and hit G to bridge that. Shift here, hit G to bridge that there. And now we run into an issue. That is simply that I'm doing edge to edge, right? This bridge to bridge. But if you look here, I can't really do this one to this one because I'm going to get that weird triangle on the corner there. Now, is that bad? No. It's not bad to have corners that are triangles because triangles give us roundness. But I could do this in a couple different ways. Like I could have easily done, in fact, now that I look at this, I'm almost going to say to yourself, you know what, let's just undo those bridges, right? So I'm just going to go and I'm going to do bridge a little different way here. So instead of just doing a normal edit bridge, I'm going to do an option box here. And instead of having 0 divisions, I'm going to go with 2 divisions. See here in the divisions. Now, what's that going to do? That's going to, instead of just doing a single bridge across, it's going to give me a bridge across, watch, but it's going to give me 2 of these. And what do these need to do? They need to get moved to the edge so I can then fill in that gap, make sense, that I had where it would have been a triangle. See? Just like that. Well, because I've done that, do the same process here, a bridge of 2. Go ahead and move it towards the edge. Move it over towards the edge. I will need to weld those eventually. And once again, here to here, G, move to the edge, move to the edge. I'm showing you guys not just ways of solving problems and so on in geometry, but again, like I showed you, what happens if you've messed up? Now you need to tear and delete faces away and then reconstruct it. And that's usually, again, in that 3 that you start to see how you can fix that. So now that I've done that, you see these are not welded together, so together and merge. Over here with these 2, G to repeat step. These 2 here, G to repeat step, and these 2 here, G to merge those. Now you can see how very quickly it would be now. I can move this over here, and that now gives me, you see that, so I can even move these a little bit more just to adjust them. Here is a 1 to 1. So now remember, we did bridge option box before. Now I need to reset it to being 0 division. See? Here to here, G to repeat step, G to repeat step. So you see, by adding a few more divisions in there, I don't end up with a weird triangle. Not that they're bad. Look at this side over here, here to here, G, here to here, G, last but not least, here to there. Because you can only really bridge 4 vertices, or 2 vertices to 2 vertices, 1 edge to 1 edge. You can't take a bridge 2 to 1, or 1 to 3. Okay? It's what a polygon based. Polygon does not have to be a perfect square, but it has to have 4 sides in order to weld properly. Now that does not mean you can't have a 5-sided or a 6-sided or an 8-sided polygon. But even though this doesn't look like a perfect square, it's still just a 4-sided. I'm going to go ahead and hit 3 on the keyboard. And you can see now how we've actually built a bit of a cushion that even if I want to, right, I can come here and say, yeah, no, I need this to be more of a cushion. I can even come here, see, where's it going like this, and say, yeah, let me just expand it a little bit closer to the, whoops, not that way. Sure, I don't get that here, like that. It actually starts to look like a cushion. Common problem. Oh, when you make geometry like that, especially with a duplicate, it wants to put the gizmo at the origin at 0 and 0. Nice fix here is to modify, center, pivot. And now I can bring this guy back so that it fits. Go and hit 3 on my couch now. Oh, where I've gone a little overboard here with my scaling of my cushion there. Or even watch this even, this is kind of cool, watch this, select row. And now I can grab more of the cushion, see that? But look how it fits, almost, this is a little scaled up. Look how it fits perfectly into that spot because I used the spot to make that geometry. So the gap is very, very narrow. See that? You know, perfectly into that section because I used that section to actually pull the cushion. That right into that spot because I used it there to actually make it. Okay. What about the back cushion if we're going to put one on there? Well, I'm going to show you this because it's the same process I just did. I went by face. Okay. Right. Remember the process we used where we basically did a face duplicate. Okay, I did a mesh separate to get it. I'll pull it in front here. And then I did a display, mesh display reverse to get it to be the positive side. Mesh separate, there we go. Yeah, and even here I can go ahead at this point and center pivot. This is what I have for the back cushion. And I have reversed it so that it is positive side is reversed from what this side is. See how it's black? That's because this is actually going to be the inside of the cushion. Now I can come here and do what I did before by simply adding a edge loop to edge loop to this edge. I've already got one down there, but I want to make sure that I've got one at the top, but I almost want to make sure I've got another one at the bottom there because I do want this to kind of fit in this little nook right here, right? You know, when you sat on the couch too long, you get that little divot in the back there where, you know, spare change gets lost. Okay. Now to hold this square, it's back to the chamfer the vertices. I can literally do this all at once now by grabbing the four corners, edit mesh, chamfer vertices. That gives me the corner element there. Now this one looks like it did it wrong. See, that did not work right. Let's see here. Let's try that again. Chamfer vertices. There we go. Didn't like it when I did it all at once. G, G, here, and G. And again, you see what that did? That just took one vertice, split it into two. So when I now extrude out from that, it's going to give me a corner. I double click to grab the edge loop going all the way around. We'll do a move shift to extrude it out. I know already, based upon making this into a cushion here, that I probably want to find it in the side view here. There we go. I'm going to try to get this to be a little more flat. See where I've got a little bit of weird angle going on here, which I'm just going to align a little better. So okay. Edges. See what we've got going there. Now it's an issue of, well, kind of doing what I did before, where go from this edge. Actually, let's go this edge to this edge. Probably going to need, again, another one of those bridge examples. Option box of 2. Bridge. This edge needs to be moved down towards there. See, so that I'm looking at a clean edge bridge. Looks like it might have to have a vertice slid in this way. This vertice can be slid out that way. See that? That's fine, and that's fine there. And now it's just looking for edge to edge. That mesh, bridge, option box, so that I can reset it back down to 0. Here, up. See where I'm running into an issue here. I'm like, well, that bridge there, now that means that this one to this one, but that leaves me a triangle again. See that? But this is also where there's a couple ways that we can go about of remedying that. One could be very quickly taking this one back out. A bridge of 1 division. See? That will give me now a bridge to bridge here of 0. And this is actually a bridge to bridge of 4 sides. See? This one. G. All up. Same problem I had at the top. It's easier just to take this out. Edge to edge there with a bridge of 1. Bridge this with a bridge of 0, meaning no divisions between the bridge. Oh, I have 5 sides here. Somehow or another on this edge, I have screwed up compared to the other sides, because now, see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So one of these edges could probably go. And a great way to understand how that goes, if you select an edge you want to remove, because remember, I got a problem with the backside here. See that? Take that away. But in this case, because of the level detail, I'd rather show you another tool. So let me do a bridge to bridge here. G. Now that sealed that up. Now I have this weird triangle here to battle with, right? Deal here. This little triangle. In fact, like I said, if there's a lot of detail in that little corner, it has to stay sharp because it has to fit in the back there, like just so. We can create a 3-sided polygon. And it's basically here called the Append to Polygon tool. So when you're modeling and you're going through and you're like, oh man, I ended up with a 3-sided polygon. What do I do? Well, if you use the Append to Polygon tool and you just click on 2 of the edges, you see it actually fills it in. So it makes ourselves a 3-sided poly, and it holds the shape really nicely. Go to this other side. Okay. Back to edge. So I have edge to edge here. That's my bridge. 0 edges here to here, there, and again, I've got a triangle there. See that? 3-sided. That could be an append to polygon tool. Where is it? There. Mesh tools. Enter to get that. Be on the keyboard, and you can see just why I have so much detail there. See, because I want it to fit in that back of that chair. Here, slide that guy back where it needs to go. It should fit perfectly into its spot because it's made. Must have got a bit of rotated on me. Just do that. Yeah, I'm actually looking through my mesh to make sure I don't pierce it. See that? And now that I've got in place, play around with certain areas to kind of get it to fit a little better there. Watch this even like I showed you before, simple grow. Get it to fit. Okay. And now I've got cushion. I could, even if I want to, right here, guys, this is kind of neat here, watch this, right? Because a lot of those cushions often have that little edge, you know, the annoying corner cushion. Okay, look at this, watch this, edit mesh, extrude, W, kind of build out a little bit of strange little edge of the cushion there. See that? I actually like modeling in smooth mode. I think it just gives me a more organic shape to everything. With one, it's not going to look. See, when I hit one, then you're like, ooh, boy, yeah, I see where my problems are. Yeah, let's see, this needs to come out here and get more smooth and layered out. This one here needs to kind of come out here and get layered and smooth out. This one here. Yeah, you can start to see where you can, in the one mode, how to correct those things. You go to 3, you get nice, clean lines. See that? Mold and or shape and mold into the back there. So remember, if I hit 1 on the keyboard, it does not look like anything right now. It's because I'm focused on the smooth. Let me do this wireframe shade. See? Doesn't look right. But with a smoother put onto it, it will. And that's what we're focused on here, is higher poly, smooth model. All right. Now, what's the problem here is that, well, in fact, I'm going to take this, watch this, move 1 now. Okay? Because now I can think about combining all my pieces together. So I can play around with things like mirror. So I can play around with, you know, symmetry and so on. So the top one here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to combine it just to show you what you can do when you combine it or don't combine it. See, so this one's now combined. So I've got this now. I've got half. I've got, you know, again, it's much easier to do this. Now, even if I wanted to make a middle couch, I could, or a middle section, I can still do that with what I have here. I just need to eliminate the edge and weld it in. So watch what I'm going to do using our lovely mirror. Now the top one, like I said, I have already taken all the pieces. Again, it's in one mode, but I'm leaving it in 3. And I've just mesh combined them. Now I'm going to come to the mirror. And the mirror section, you see, now you might have to change the axes. You see there's one here that actually says cut geometry, which I can turn. It will slice any extra geometry there. I can change the merge threshold or the offset position, right? Look at that. See that? Think about right there. If I did that just that quickly, I could build something in the center. I could go ahead and go into vertex mode here and pull it across further and then put another cushion in the middle, right? So we have lots of options here. Now, typically, just a 2 cushion couch, I could do something simple like that and be done with, right? That's what it looks like in low poly. This is what it looks like in 3. But remember, what we want to do is utilize the mesh smooth here. Whether I do a 1 or a 2 smooth level, and you see the result of a comfy couch. Okay, what if I did that offset? See, even here, look at this. I can offset it and bring it in. And now I've got a single bench by just using that option of the cut geometry and the offset section. See? Or I can keep going there and say, hey, no, it's a love seat. See? You see how quickly I just did that? Now I've made it a love seat. I can do all sorts of things with this. Like I said, if I take it, how about taking it all the way out to there? Remember now, it is merged. We go ahead and take here, and remember we have this duplicate function. Oops. Okay. So if I were to use some of these weird mirror options here, right? And look at this here. It's an easy way to kind of bridge these together. Double click the edge. The edge. Do a bridge. And now all I have to do is just fashion a cushion for the middle, right? This is a neat thing. Watch this. I'm just going to go ahead now while I've got this and double click this edge. Merge it out a little bit more. Just a little bit more just to get off that center foot. And just make that fit a little bit better. Now this one I can't really just, right? I can't really just scale it because it's got that weird edge to it. So this might be a case of select grow, select grow. Okay, just to grow just that section over there. Let's back up a little bit here. Now I have this, and again, I can combine it. Watch what I'm doing when I'm in the mirror this time. I'm gonna go mirror option box. Or not option box. Look at this. I can actually rotate it the double check the back. You got cut geometry on or off. And now I can make a 45 couch or something like that. Entertainment, just using the rotate button in the mirror. See how that kind of loops on in there? I can fill that in or something like that.
I'm a little behind. I finished the couch, but I didn't see how you made the cushion.
Oops. Cushions were actually built off of the geometry that is here itself. So I just did the faces that basically would make up like so. Yeah, something like that. Actually, I think that I include this. No, I need to be in one mode. There you go. See, in one mode, you can see how cushions will be made. So I took this little edge here. Okay, just these faces. And I used this edit mesh face duplicate. This allowed me to take it and duplicate it and move it up. So it's up and out. But I also like to kind of come here and separate it. I guess it has to, there you go. And separate it from the couch itself. You see, so it's all by itself now. The problem is what was facing up on the couch on the cushion needs to be facing down. So we need to reverse the mesh direction. And I'm just going to take what I have here and put some edges on it. Edge loop. Edge loop. Oops. There we go. Edge loop on that edge. Okay. And edge loop right there. And that's so, again, I can help this stay square. Because without those edges, it would just turn into a round cushion. All right, so again, back to this. Once we got to a point here where we've reversed the normals now, so it's dark facing up instead of dark facing down, and we've doubled up our edges, we go to vertex on the corners. Still have that there. Okay. And with this corner vertex selected, this was simply a mesh vertex chamfer that vertex. And you see what it does when we do that is it takes what was one vertex and gives us and that fact that that is now two vertices instead of one, we'll get a sharp corner. The silly part here too, which I even realized that may have been why I was having to add more segmentation, is with a target weld, this could very well just go to that. Yeah. This could target weld to that. Because you see, when I chamfered that vertex, it gave me a 5 solid poly. Not a big deal. But really, I could target weld it to there, so now I have a 4-sided with that edge. See that? Which just makes a better geometry. Let me show you, explain the other side too. And that also is why I end up with the triangles and stuff like that. Let me show you what I mean on the other side. Okay. So again, I take one vertex here. I want that to be a corner. I can chamfer, but I can also just do this. See that? Because that's now going to give me a corner because these vertices are close together without having to have that extra triangle edge element. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Like right here, I could just go boop to get the same effect. See how that's got that corner to it now? What I was doing before, of course, I was taking this vertex, chamfering it, that gives me 2. But then I end up with this guy that's a 5-sided poly just floating around there, when really I could just have done the target weld or just move this so that this is now part of that. And it does the same thing, but I still only have a 4-sided poly. Once I got those corners in there, you see the corners now working for me? I just double clicked it, shift and dragged up to get thickness to my cushion. And now that that's only like that, now I can think about, all right, if I bridge the gap here to here, edit mesh, bridge. Well, this is 1, but then I have 1 here, and then I have an extra there. So that's where I go to the division section here and say, what about 2? Where this edge can get lined up across to those. See how that's going to line up now? This guy is going to get lined up over there. Now this, okay, that becomes a 4-sided bridge option, so I can reset it back to 0. Here, see, here, see, this is another one of those mistakes where now I've got a triangle left over in here somewhere. See that? Now, if I actually wanted to, I could hit Control and Delete and move X and the edge at the same time. Okay. D, Control Delete. You see that does defeat the purpose because I wanted a corner, but again, that corner can be achieved very easily with that. Hit 3 to see what it looks like. Got an issue. This is the power of the smooth. See, that looks fine right now, right? Everything looks fine right there. When I hit 3, you see this weird artifact happening. And what is that caused by? That's caused by vertices not actually being welded or merged together. See? Something is not merged or welded. Now, a good way to remedy that, of course, if you don't know, is to merge it or remove the bed and re-weld in a new bridge of good. See? And it's corrected. 3 key saves you from making errors. It also can let you go nuts modeling because you're like, oh, I'm modeling in smooth mode. Then you switch over to 1. You're like, I've ruined my model. But it does let you see any particular error. See how my geometry is all nice and clean and welded. I can come here if I want to, add a more interesting element to my cushions, right? Make it a little overstuffed. How about this one's kind of neat? Watch this. Okay, let me extrude to the center here. Hit G and extrude again. What I'm trying to do here. I'm just kind of making, let's say I want to put a little button here or something, right? Let's make these be a little less perfect. Okay, no cushion is perfect. Let's just play around with this here. Maybe go to a vertex and just adjust the vertex. Don't like perfect. I like things looking a little more worn, lived in. All right, so even here, right? I've got this little guy right here. Watch what I'm going to do here. Edit mesh, extrude, scale, G, up, G, scale, G, up, G, scale. Now that might look really bizarre and weird to you right now in its low poly form for this cushion. What happens when I hit 3? See? Little button element that just wants me to kind of come in here and say, yeah, you know what, let's just kind of shape this a little bit better. Okay, come here, select grow, select grow, select grow. Select grow, select grow. So this is kind of like that soft selection. See how I'm doing that? I'm kind of, in fact, I tell you, I avoid soft select, but if I turn on soft select and play around with the fall off radius here, you can see how soft select actually works. Because it's not just affecting the polygons, it's affecting all the surface that is associated with that fall off value. See that? And that's simply just going into the fall off value and saying, I want more or less influence. So it looks like that is the area of influence here. There, see? It's only affecting that part right there. Okay. Again, I'm not crazy about soft select. I'm usually using it when I do organic characters or something. And so now I just made a little button in my cushion. See that? I center pivot, slide it down onto my chair. I've got it ready to go for, you know, whatever. Mesh combine, mesh mirror. Oops. Let's cut the geometry on. Let's play with the offset value. You can do that. Even then, with a face select, you can select, even though they're combined, you can select individual things and still control them as independents, even though it's combined. So that cushion, I kind of did the same way. Still going to be a 1 on the keyboard. Now, some other things you'll notice when we're creating lots of geometry, or we get what's called edged surfaces. You see how these are very chiseled and beveled edges, and it looks kind of crappy. Well, here in the mesh display, I can soften edges. See? So that kind of takes away that, it gives you that low polygon kind of effect you see inside of a game, as opposed to the mesh display of hardened edges, which makes everything all chiseled and kind of blasé. So whenever you make geometry, a primitive by default will have soft edges. The second you start extruding and making and beveling and bridging, those are all hard edges because it doesn't know what to assign. So I can soften the edge so that even then, by the time I throw on a smoother of some value, I get a nice kind of effect here. And quite frankly, as you take more future classes, texture lighting, the dynamics and simulation classes, there's so many neat things that can be adopted and worked with here that are, you know, not really modeling, but come into play with modeling. Okay, so let's say, what the heck, let's have some fun with this. Okay. So I can come in here and, again, there's tutorials online that I talk about how to do this, where I can actually make a passive collider. That's not passive collider, that is the end cloth. That is the passive collider. And even make some really cool things here, like a blanket. And mass. See? Make a blanket. Oh, I guess I should have figured out where it was first. Yep. See? And now I've just tossed a blanket on there, and all I really need to do to get rid of it as cloth is duplicate it, get rid of the old cloth. See? And I just used end cloth dynamics to essentially model and blanket over the back of the couch. Which is, again, and imagine if I took that blanket, which is a high polygon, and added a smoother to it, right? Now we're really talking some pretty cool effect there. See that? And once again, if you ever want to hunt that down, that tutorial, it's in the YouTube world. You can look up my name. It's how to do end cloth. End cloth dynamics. They show you how to do, you know, cloth like flags and stuff like that. Do I even do the couch here or the blanket? I think I do a bedspread. Different objects, just making them collide and fall down as cloth. But then again, you could also do that with a throw pillow, right? Let me show you what I'm talking about there. So again, if I make this be I'll do the pillow first. What's it take to make a pillow? Right? Simple lightweight pillow here. If I want it to stay corners, got to double up my corners, right? Maybe not that much. Like so. Look what it looks like when I hit 3 on the keyboard. Something tells me I want to do something else with this. Let's see, let's go ahead and do a edge loop. Right there. Right there. And oops. Selected. Okay. Like that. Let's just do an extrude. I'm going to do an extrude again. See what it looks like with 3. See that? Cushion. But actually, fancy pillow. Doesn't have to look like much right now. Right? Go ahead and throw on a smoother. You know, it's artificial smoother dropped on top, so it's not really 3 on the keyboard, it's just a smoother. Give it some rotation. Right. There, duplicate there. Right. And how does a cushion or a pillow end up looking like a pillow? It's been dropped. So go ahead and combine those together. And again, just like I've shown you before, effects, cloth, passive collider. This guy here is going to be an end cloth with some stretch and compression resistance. This guy here is going to become an end cloth with some stretch and compression resistance. Mass, fine, hit play. And let's see here. This gravity and falling. That cushion's sliding. Oh. See, the problem is I've given too much compression resistance, or not enough compression resistance, and maybe a little bit more rigidity. So, and this is where sometimes you almost have to go to wireframe or a lightweight version to see it action, see? Because it isn't powerful enough to show you real time. But you see the cushions have in fact glided and distorted. Because again, I'm not even really interested here in the performance of cloth acting. See how that works? I'm interested in just the result. So there. See? Take them when you're done, duplicate them, and then I can come here and get rid of all my floss stuff. Here, duplicate the shader. Okay. The cushion's actually been flexed and bent and folded in such a way. Smooth geometry, high topology, high polygon. In fact, take them all together and combine them. Display, you can look at your heads up of polygon. So it even says here that now Think about if you're advertising your modeling skills, what would you say? You're like, hey, here is my low poly version that before I went and did all this to it, right? The low poly 1 version with the 1 key on. And then I'd have the version with the smoother on showing, okay, well now I've got 5,000 or 50,000 faces, 50,000 polys to make up. Now, a lot of them are in that blanket. A lot of them are, not a lot of them are necessarily more in the blanket probably than the whole couch. But that's what it takes to get that really nice, cool, organic kind of feel to it. I mean, in reality, because if I was going to do that, the feet wouldn't be the same color. And God, what a horrible color couch. Along the lines of finding the fabric.
You're gonna end it with no couch.